When we first get to Sherwood Park, we have this big sign right here, and this is gonna be our start off point and our meetup point. So I'm always gonna give you a certain time to be back at this point by, and then we'll make sure everybody's here and we'll head back to class. All right, so part of this project is finding a nice spot where you'll be able to sit back and observe what's going on in nature. You can use a lot of locations here at Sherwood Park. It's a big place, so first of all, you should go explore and then find a spot that you think will be interesting to look at. Find a spot that has an identifiable tree, landmark, so that you can come back to it each time. And stick to this place when you're making your observations. You can definitely, walk around this place. I'm going to use maybe about 10 feet away from this tree to make a kind of a circle, an imaginary circle to kind of show where I'm going to be observing. And so this is going to be my place. This is my spot where I'm going to observe for this year. We're going to come here 7 times and observe in different seasons and just try to really explore. Okay, so I'm going to do this myself right now. I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes and I'm going to observe. I have my notepad here with me to make observations. So because it's my first time here, I'm really just trying to take in the area in general. So see, what kind of topography is it? Is it a slope, which this is? I'm going to look at the soil, see what kind of soil it is. See vegetation on the ground. One thing I'm noticing here is that there's not a lot of vegetation on the ground. There's no grasses, things like that, but there is a lot of leaves, a lot of leaf litter. So I'm sure there's going to be some interesting insects in here. I want to look at what trees, what are the big trees in this area, and then I want to see what are some of the small plants in this area, and just try to, really take in all the different features of your circle. Okay, well, it's been 5 minutes so far and I've just kind of got the initial impressions of this area. So some things that I made notes of are the tree. So this tree right here is a big, giant sugar maple tree. And I can see a lot of the maple keys around here. There's a lot of dead leaves around here and leaf litter and dead pieces of bark. And I've noticed a few bugs and insects in here. There's a big slope in this terrain. There's a couple of small shrubs, but for the most part, there's a pretty full leaf canopy. Now you can see up here, the maple leaves kind of dominate the canopy. So not a lot of light comes in here, which I'm guessing contributes to not a lot of plants on this pretty dry looking soil. There's a few shrubs though. So those were some initial impressions. I still have about 15 minutes left. So now I'm going to kind of look in some of the small stuff. I'm going to look up close, and I'm also going to start to kind of think about some questions I have about those things that I just observed. One thing I have here that's pretty cool is a little $10 Amazon purchase that's a macro lens that fits on my camera phone like this, which acts as kind of like a little magnifying glass. So I'm going to slide this on, and it can be a really cool tool to see things up close. So I'm going to try this out right now. See a kind of cool little spider here. on my tree right here, I've noticed some lichens. I'm sure if you look close on your tree, you'll find some as well. And they are super fascinating to look into. And they play some really important roles in the ecosystem, and their biology is really fascinating because they're actually two different species. So look for lichens, look for mosses, look for the small things that you wouldn't normally see. And just zooming in on a lot of small little bugs. I saw this exoskeleton of I think a cicada bug. Saw lots of snail, like little really tiny snail shells. Saw a really small spider that at first I didn't even see with my naked eye, but with this little lens I saw it. So yeah, I definitely recommend bringing a little lens or bringing a magnifying glass out here, because that really puts everything into life. And also we have to take advantage of September and October while there's still a lot of things that we can see that are alive, because once fall and winter come, then there's gonna be a lot less insect life that will be visible. So we got to take advantage of that in September and October. And then also the leaves on the trees. Definitely make sure you take pictures of the leaves on the trees and try to figure out what type of trees they are, because yeah, once October and November come and we lose the leaves, they're a lot harder to recognize. And so we really want to try to see what changes take place over the course of these 8 months or so. And also, I don't want to be too busy. I want to take some time just to sit back and relax and just kind of breathe in the air, hear the sounds. Actually hear some cicadas out right now, which is really cool. Probably won't hear those for very long because they're known as heat bugs, and they only make that sound when it's a certain high temperature. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so just take some time to relax, to hear the sounds that are going on, and have your thoughts too. Think about how you're doing, what your day's like, and it's okay to try to have some time where maybe you're not thinking about things. And I know for some people this might seem a little bit boring, just being out here for 20 minutes. But for me, it's gone by super fast. It's already been 20 minutes, I can't believe it. But even if it doesn't go by fast, that can be a good thing, because it can allow you to be creative, to think about thoughts, to think about things. Okay, so just wrapping up my first session out here in my nature circle. I just want to kind of think of some questions that I have. So I've made some observations, I've spent some time out here, and so I'm just looking through my list and thinking of some questions I might have, because the next part is I'm going to write up a journal of my experience. I'm going to write first of all, what are some of these plants and insects that I observed? So I want to try to actually go and do some research and figure out what species they were, and a little bit about these different species, a little bit about their role in the ecosystem. I want to know more about the role of dead leaves and trees, and what value they have in a forest, because there is a lot of dead trees here. I also am wondering, is this healthy? Is this a healthy forest, or is this not a healthy forest? I'm also wondering what caused some of these trees to die. There's this huge tree over here, this huge log that looks like it's been dead for a while. And did humans do this, or was this natural? I want to know how this forest came to be. Was it always these big maple trees, or did it used to be a mix of trees? And also, I want to know kind of its history in terms of, were these trees planted by humans intentionally, or was this more of a natural thing? I also want to know more about that cicada bug that I heard, and learn more about it. So those are some of the questions I have. Some of those questions might be pretty hard to answer, but they're still good to think about. Other ones I might be able to find a lot of information, and a lot of times once you get a little bit of information, more questions will come up and you'll have even more things to think about. So in terms of your journal write-up, you definitely don't have to answer all these questions. Actually, you can't, because then it'd be way too long. So for each time, you kind of want to focus on one or two of those questions that you can go into detail with and really do some research and then describe what you have found. So you'll first kind of share your observation, you'll show your photo in your journal, and then you'll explain, you know, what's going on here, what's the larger importance of this in the environment. Also, if you can, it's always good to think of any environmental connections here. So like I was mentioning, what are some of the human impacts in this area? I mentioned that I saw a water bottle that was just discarded here. And I mentioned that, you know, some of the trees, I'm not sure if that had some human impact or not. But then I'm also thinking about how this is an area that humans have chose to protect. There's subdivisions all around here, and yet this is a green space and the importance of that. So those are also things to reflect on. One other thing to remember is make sure you're prepared for the weather. We're doing this rain or shine. Hopefully there's more shine, but you never know. So even though it was a nice day today, I packed a jacket and also pack some rain pants, or you can bring like some slush pants or something like that, because we want to be able to sit down and, you know, get close to the ground and do observations. So you need to be prepared. Also, it can be cooler in here than you would expect as well, because we're going to be slowing down. We're not going to be walking the whole time. So that can be cold, especially in the winter. So make sure you bundle up, bring lots of extra clothes so that you can park yourself in your nature circle and really explore the area.